So today I just want to talk a little bit about Anxiety of Influence, which is a remarkable book, and for anyone who hasn't read it, it's a great read. So basically it came out in the early 70s, and prior to this, Bloom had published a number of books on romantic poetry. Shelley's Myth-Making, Blake's Apocalypse, The Visionary Company, and he was really one of the big academics who helped to sort of rehabilitate the Romantics and put them into better standing in the canon. And then he decided to publish this little book, which puts forth a very radical theory of influence. In the book, AOI as I'll call it, Bloom argues that poets have to wrestle with their artistic precursors in order to achieve independence creatively and individuate themselves. But influence is not always a voluntary or a conscious process. And just as we sometimes just as we never get to choose our parents, great poets rarely get to choose their influences. And influence is a burden that every poet, every successful poet, has to deal with and wrestle with and not be subsumed by. Bloom argues that poets can only achieve greatness by misreading their precursors, and that word misreading is very crucial because for Bloom, we cannot read a poem. We can only misread a poem. But some misreadings are better than others. Not all misreadings are equal. So that is one of the central themes of the book. And literary history, literary progress, if you will, is a series of misreadings of poems by later poets who have to wrestle with their precursors in order to achieve their own greatness and independence. The book is an interesting amalgam of influences in and of itself. I mean, of course, there's Nietzsche and Freud, who are very central in the book, but also Bloom has always flirted with Kabbalah and Gnosticism. And so when you actually look at the book, you'll notice that the 6 revisionary ratios or strategies that Bloom maps out are sort of borrowed, in fact, from Lurianic Kabbalism. And it's sort of his very idiosyncratic way of applying religion to literary theory, which is one of Bloom's unique qualities as a critic. Now, of course, Bloom was talking about romantic poetry, but it's not hard to see how the anxiety of influence can be extended to other artistic arenas and to other mediums. Someone like Brian De Palma, for instance, the filmmaker, is suffering from serious AOI in relation to Alfred Hitchcock. If you have seen any of De Palma's films from the 70s, Blowout or Dressed to Kill, you'll definitely see some serious AOI going on there vis-a-vis Hitchcock. So I'm sure you can come up with your own examples as to how the anxiety of influence plays out in our wonderful world of pop culture. I imagine if I told Bloom that I was talking about him on YouTube, he would be totally baffled. I mean, the man doesn't even use email, and he still writes all of his books longhand. So he is totally in a different century, but I think his books are fantastic and a real intellectual feast and really worth talking about. So anyway, I hope this has been somewhat helpful. If you guys have any posts or any comments, feel free to share. You guys are not shy, as I have discovered of late. So yeah, hope you guys are well, and see you on the next go around.